Well, the sunny, clear skies are gone, and we're looking at showers in your forecast. I'm here with meteorologist Vaughn Gaskin. And Vaughn, today is an alert day, too, because of those storms that could be headed our way.
I know, and we usually take some heat at this point of an alert day because you say, oh, Vaughn, I see all the sunshine. Exactly. Sunshine, blue sky, temperatures are warming up. But I have to tell you, that will change in a few hours.
Thank you, Vaughn. Now to today's big story. At least 49 people were killed in a mass shooting at two mosques full of worshippers on what the prime minister of that country is calling one of New Zealand's darkest days. One man now charged with murder in what officials describe as a carefully planned attack. Bill Neely has more.
Minutes after the massacre, a stream of wounded begin arriving at city hospitals.
Terribly sad news. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted this morning about those attacks, saying what happened in New Zealand's anti-Muslim terrorist attack was driven by bigotry and hatred. I add my voice, along with all other decent people throughout the world, to the friends and families of the fallen and injured. Today, investigators in France will begin analyzing the black box from the Boeing 737 MAX 8 that crashed in Ethiopia. It was the second crash for MAX 8 in less than a year. Satellite data from Ethiopian Air Flight 302 shows it experienced wild and erratic vertical takeoff speeds before crashing. The pilots also reported struggling to control the plane. This was one of the main factors in the FAA's decision to ground the 737 MAX 8s in the U.S. Some analysts predict it could be 3 to 6 months before the grounding ends. New details now. We now know a deadly crash on I-95 last night that halted traffic for hours involved not two, but three vehicles. The crash happened on the Francis Marion Bridge near the Orangeburg County line around 8 last night. Troopers say a flatbed truck rear-ended a Camry, which then ran into the back of a Honda. The driver of that Honda was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the car and died at the scene. No other injuries were reported. All lanes were blocked for several hours. This is what the traffic backup looked like last night. All lanes reopened around 4:15 this morning. And less than 2 hours ago, the National Weather Service confirmed yet another tornado hit our area Sunday, March 3rd. Take a look. They say an EF1 tornado hit the Fort Jackson area in a wooded area just after 7:30 that night. They say it was on the ground for just over half a mile and reached wind speeds of 95 miles per hour. This brings the total number of tornadoes to hit the Midlands that day to 4. You may remember there was a tornado in the Red Bank area, in Lexington, and in Columbia near Riverbank Zoo. No injuries were reported during this tornado outbreak. Also new at noon, flu activity in our state is on the decline, but even so, DHEC says 11 more people have died from the virus this season. The latest report released from the state agency this week says since flu season began, 63 people have died in South Carolina. 3 of those deaths have been children. Almost 4,000 cases of the flu have been reported to date. While officials say flu activity is decreasing, DHEC says it is still widespread across the state. Police in Elgin are renewing efforts to find a woman missing for almost 8 years. Police say Adriana Laster was last seen in September of 2011 with a man she was dating, Freddie Grant. Around that time, Grant was charged with murder in connection with the disappearance of 15-year-old Gabby Swanson. Grant led police to where he had hidden Swanson's body near his home. That's when the Kershaw County Sheriff's Office started to search for Laster or other bodies in the same area. Police say Laster has a daughter who hasn't seen her in 8 years. They're asking anyone with information that could help to immediately contact the Elgin Police Department. And we're working to find out how an RV caught fire on I-77 in Richland County. Take a look at these pictures sent to us. This fiery incident caused traffic to stall for hours Thursday afternoon between the Two Notch Road and I-20 exits. Columbia Fire says everyone on the RV made it out safely. We'll update you when we learn any new details. We do have new details in the federal case against former Manning Police Chief Blair Schaefer. Jury selection in his trial has been canceled for today as the investigation into allegations of theft of federal funds and money laundering continues. All of this coming out of the pretrial hearing Thursday in Charleston. Schaefer was fired last year after serving as police chief in Manning for 25 years. Last month, he was arrested for money laundering and making false statements to FBI agents. He has pleaded not guilty. Richland County deputies are searching for a suspect considered very dangerous. Mel Johnson III is wanted for strong armed robbery and burglary. Deputies say last month at the Walmart on Two Notch Road, an employee spotted Johnson removing the security sensors off of a TV and leaving without paying for it. When he was confronted, deputies say he hit an employee with a shopping cart, knocking her down. Then just over a month later, they say Johnson broke into the Life Destiny Church on Pine Belt Road. If you know anything, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. In Orangeburg County, a second man will be charged today in a deadly shooting outside a nightclub in Cordova earlier this month. Deputies say Jaquan Cook was arrested by U.S. Marshals Thursday. They say Cook and Kendallon Curry are both charged with murder in the death of a 35-year-old man. Cook is expected to make his first court appearance today, where he'll be formally charged. The Columbia Police Department will be out in full force, checking to make sure people are staying safe at the St. Pat's and 5 Points celebration. Over the last 3 years, there have been about 50 arrests on average on the day of this event. Most of these arrests involve nonviolent crimes like disorderly conduct or minors in possession of alcohol. Just last year, you'll notice there were almost 80 arrests, and according to Columbia Police, half of those arrests were for minors in possession of beer. The deputy chief of police says while there will be plenty of law enforcement officers to help keep everyone safe, he also says we as the public have a role to play too.
We also encourage people to be responsible. Many of the arrests that we make are non-custodial, however, they still are criminal charges. If you're not of the age to drink, we just don't drink. And if you don't have a reason to be at a bar, if you're underage, don't go in.
With the festival expected to draw 45,000 people, safety on the roadways is another big concern. If you'll be headed out to the celebration, the Get to the Green 10K, 5K, and 1 mile fun run starts at 7:30 a.m. The St. Pat's Parade kicks off at 10 a.m. at Dreer High School and travels down Divine Street into 5 Points. One stage of music starts around 11 a.m. and all of the stages will have an artist by noon. Headliner Dashboard Confessional kicks off at 5:40. This weekend is going to be green, but the rest of the week has been yellow with pollen, that is. What allergists are saying about the yellow dust covering everything in the Midlands. Happening in Washington, 12 members of President Trump's own party joined Senate Democrats to denounce what they consider a power grab. The Senate voted against the president's emergency declaration at the southern border. President Trump wanted to use funds from other parts of the government to pay for a border wall after Congress said no. The Constitution says Congress, not the president, declares how to spend tax dollars. The bloc from Capitol Hill could force President Trump's first veto. House Democrats will try to override that veto. In the Senate, they'd need every Democrat, every Republican who already voted against the president, plus 8 more. Meanwhile, in the House, lawmakers passed a resolution to make Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report on the Russia investigation public. The non-binding resolution passed with a vote of 420 to 0. It also calls for the report to be given to Congress in its entirety. Mueller is required to submit the report to Attorney General William Barr once it's complete, but it's unclear how much of that will be available to the public. During confirmation hearings, Barr promised to be transparent, but never committed to a release of the full report. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is already objecting to the measure, demanding that it be amended to call for a new special counsel. Look at these pictures from New Mexico State Police. Winds there Wednesday were so strong, they blew this train off its tracks. You can see it blew right off this railway bridge, spilling train cars at least 40 feet to the ground, according to police. It's unknown what the rail cars were carrying, but there were fortunately no injuries reported. If you suffer from allergies, you're probably seeing an unwelcome sight lately. Pollen on your cars, in your driveway, every surface it can find. That yellow pollen is from pine trees, but allergists warn it's the pollen you cannot see from trees like oak, walnut, and other nut trees that can cause more harm. They recommend over-the-counter medication, allergy shots, and even just staying indoors when pollen counts are high. Allergist Dr. Mark Schecker says that the pollen problem isn't something locals should overlook.
It affects various aspects of their life and their productivity. It affects their sleep patterns, which may lead to them being less alert during the day, less productive at work. They may have reduced ability to concentrate, participate in sports. Children have a harder time concentrating in school. It may affect their schoolwork and their performance at school. These are very serious issues.
And meteorologists warn that as we get closer to spring, that new yellow coat on your car will only get thicker. So it's really sort of bittersweet, Vaughn, because spring is actually my favorite season, but no one likes allergies.
Absolutely. It is great for the temperatures, but not only do you have to deal with pollen, you also have to deal with spring storms. We're going to get a few of those today. It is an alert day. We will be tracking scattered showers and I'd say isolated storms. This will be anywhere from about 2 to 8 o'clock today, and that is, of course, the main drive time. I know it's Friday. Everyone wants to get home, but make sure you're staying weather aware. We'll talk about these brief heavy downpours coming up. We'll see about 67 by next Thursday.
Thanks, Vaughn. Well, if you ever wanted to live like Gatsby, here's your chance. Coming up in about a week, the Great Gatsby House Party will take place in Columbia. With us now is Chad Henderson with Trustis Theater and Bonnie Boyer-Jolly with the Columbia City Ballet. Thank you both for being here on this Friday.
Thanks
so
for
we got two events that we're really promoting, because you got the fundraiser first, and then the show will be coming up in April. Let's talk about that fundraiser.
Well, the fundraiser is next Saturday, March 23rd. We're really excited. We have catering from Scott Hall, just a huge, delicious spread. We've got an open bar sponsored by Ciroc, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Wicked Weed, Greens. I know I'm forgetting somebody. And we have two bands, Station 7 Band and Flat Out Strangers, as well as Preach. Jacobs is going to be DJing inside. We're trying to go back to the jazz era and give people a really fun time at the Siebel's Home and Gardens that's on Richland Street. So, really
what
excited.
will the fundraiser be supporting?
Supporting Trustis Theater. That's a good question. So all funds are helping out Trustis Theater, and it's just going to be a really big, great spring party under the stars with great music and food. So and it's only $75. Try to go to a good restaurant and eat for 4 hours. It's not going to happen for $75.
Very
So
true.
join
Got to put
us.
it in perspective. So
Yeah,
you
right.
get a pretty good deal there. And then, as we mentioned, in April, you got the show coming up. You're going to tell us about that, Bonnie?
Yes, absolutely. So it's the Great Gatsby, and it is one of the great American classics, right? So it's kind of bringing to life that story and that adventure, and it's a great love story, and it's a partnership with Cola Jazz and Columbia City Ballet, along with Trustis Theater. So we have 5 dancers from Columbia City Ballet that are joining the cast, and we're kind of trying to make the whole experience larger than life and really bring the whole picture into every aspect of how the experience might have been if you were living in that time.
Absolutely. And this definitely a story so many people enjoy because of the music and the dancing and the costumes.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to meet expectations, but also kind of blow the lid off of a couple expectations as well. So it's a big production for Trustis. It's going to be one of our largest casts this season, and we've had a lot of excitement about it. So I think with this party, this fundraiser, and this show running for 4 weeks with 3 of the most visible arts organizations in town working together, I think it's a pretty special time in Columbia. So, this is an arts town, so we're doing it.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, all
Right
those
now.
different groups coming together. We've got that information on your screen now for the fundraiser. As you mentioned, tickets $75, but you get a lot for that. Be sure to check them out. It's coming up March 23rd. Ruth Bader Ginsburg turns 86 today. Ginsburg has served as a Supreme Court justice since she was nominated by Bill Clinton in 1993. The liberal-leaning Ginsburg is best known for her dissenting opinions in the conservative-dominated Supreme Court. She's battled and beat colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, and lung cancer most recently last December, but is still going strong. Ginsburg said last year she plans to remain on the Supreme Court for at least 5 more years. So definitely pretty inspirational there. I think really anyone can learn from that kind of strength.
Absolutely. Alert day for today, 79 degrees today's high temperature. We're getting pretty close to that now. We may touch 80 just before the storms move in, but that alert still posted for us, 47 overnight, and then we see the 60s. This weekend, even though we're going to be right around average or just below, it's not going to be a bad weekend. It's going to be dry. Of course, if you can deal with the pollen, I say enjoy this weekend, and we'll have a nice stretch of the 60s coming up for most of next week.
Yeah, those temperatures looking nice once we can get through those storms.
I know.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.